I guess you don't want to give him.
Planning to go for break tonight?
Here, tonight's my last night. So.
Nevertheless.
Nevertheless, last for now. Till I come back. Last for now till I come back. Let's rephrase that.
What is it? It's a line. Oh, the icy stretch. What?
Go for it.
Go layers.
Acho que já tive essa
Ah,
reunião,
já louco, passado.
Last night I have fever recovers the Shingle Trail on the Banana Yomi after the Hallelujah. Iskala Shmirabo, the University of Military City as Mercon and Kermishi. I can't make one for the business of a goal is my cardi, my man. Already we have this version, it's not saving the service lives so much. Make a bit of living for us, which just did for us when I was at the Miram Beyond of Miram. Barakatah Adonai, Eloheinu Elokeinu Avraham, Eliezer V'Yaakov, Ela Gadol Gibeon Ela Yom Al Same Time Kenai Kol V'Zer Hasei Avesmi V'Gal V'Zim Lashma V'Havam V'Zer Mashiach Magin Barakatah Adonai, Magin Avraham, V'Gibur L'Adonai Me'Mesim V'Karav L'Shem Maridas Al Me'Alkalim V'Hasim Me'Mesim V'Ram V'Rav Me'Sim V'Nuli V'Rv'Helim Matir Esrim V'Chaim V'Nasa L'Shem V'Yalvar V'Chamas V'Gibur V'Sumi V'Melach Nal Mitzvah Mitzvah Shev V'Neman Atol V'Mesim Barakatah Adonai, V'Chayef V'Mesim. Money das. She been in the first ever being Latino level. That's about the image much shown up in the cover of the night. I wrote a bit Shuba. So I never killed on him. No more can give a trying to kill the officer had over the night. I don't know about this. I never knew very been a Galena Mahila Washmak. He also has like a over the night. Go Israel. You know, I don't know if I should never know check you. See what's in. I tell you, I refer to Washington. I'm not going to kill him. I've been a matter of after the night. Right, my Israel. Related now, he knows she's on his SS. Coming in, so also the webs in Berha. I'll play the master for 7 minutes of Berha. And a question for the silver hawk. He also makes my time remember Hashanim Berha tonight. A bar Hashanim. The cabbage ever go over let's say you're sitting with on a sick cabbage go in the Capsino, have your recommend her, so I send you Berha tonight. The cabbage in my Israel. She was just in the Kabishan Viati and Kabaki, but was remaining going to have a little tonight. Have a half set of Berha tonight. Now I have to like a mission. I want you to make this the whole I mean, the whole I said, I'm going to give it a five. I'm home here, Grace, and Office Richard Mayor Soccer, Savage Smockers, like name from here, Remember, I thought tonight. Show you about me as anything. I'll let it give up. I said, I'm not going to well play this Mr. Frame. I'll hear it. Come and reply. Now, we said, I told a whole team, but she meant by mess. She might came in and will never give up a number if I tried tonight. She's seen if I was at a game. I was trying to never have him touch his system. I can share you right to the key say that I've done him here. But so I think no name of a curve and win on number if I tried tonight. Well, maybe shall I am. As some of them here, that's never current for another number. Sure as I can use that giving calling over if I tried tonight. That's me, I can sure. I go in and out, you know, I'll come on rapidly with copper rock members on it. So it's in a key, make a list, I know. And I'm looking at him. I'll take you in a kid. I should make this for better. I tried tonight. Show me after you. Say, now you never know how you sell this. So some say, but I should have a bit of easy. So some of habits of cover brothers and see letters to me with this job. Says any need which will seem rough member if I tried tonight. I'm not hesitant, so let's see you. Abraham kilos was like him and walking in all. I told him very soon, not him looking at it for time. You do have we how should we go walk to Yeshurtin Vijashin is also Barakata Adonai. Akashim Halano highlights. In front of Rafa, I'm here. Hasib Rahamilano Kosra, Makabrahino Vinukuan, Kabrapana, Hakibrapana, Sahalunu, in Kursam, I was tested. Zaka Braha Braham Hamsham with Bena Haliberta, some Israel, but Holy Sil, Hashabashama, Barakata Adonai. However, has some Israel, but Shalom. Skala Shmaraba. Yama Plus, we kind of finish. I'm going to make another two. My knowledge, my career, my man.
Amen. Hey, Shmei,
So there is a lesson on pretty good to read.
Amen.
Then from Ross, we shows these brows, but I must have them in the other room. This guy was also, yes, and then Siraka, Mincha Maariv. If I'm Rabbi Mincha Maariv, I'm 7 million by Israel, in Raman. I see Shah in Raman, to join back by Israel, in Raman. Never before time Mela, Hakolar, maybe yet, and I found the Shmei Fad.
Amen. Amen. Amen.
All Israel, Rabbanah, all the Nigel, all the Nigel, Muslim, the right of the Asra, the Sarah, Sarihim, and Shalom, Rabbanah, Amen. Shalom, Rabbanah, Phantom, also, Amen. Amen. Yashikaya. Today in Jewish history, today we mentioned today was the birthday of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and also the day that he was freed from Soviet prison, originally a death sentence, and then finally he was released. He was notified he was going to be released on the 12th of Tammuz, and then finally released tonight on the 13th of Tammuz. Both days are celebrated as special days on the Hasidic calendar. Of course, we're going to have a special Farbrengen tonight, and the Rebbe explains the specialty of having a Farbrengen between Yud Beis and Yud Gimel, between the 12th and the 13th, which is tonight. We'll discuss that by the Farbrengen, especially of that Farbrengen, especially tonight. Okay, so, yeah.
What year Yutet Kislev was the Alter Rebbe released?
Yutet Kislev or Beis Tam? Yud Beis Tam was 1927.
Yutet Kislev.
Yud Kislev was 17. I remember offhand.
17 something. Yeah.
Late 1700s. Why? Saying
because this is the second already released from prison.
Yeah. Not the second, a lot of several in between, but yeah.
Yeah.
They all basically. All right. So it seems like the winning thing to learn was the Yahadis. So we knew Yahadis. I don't like that. They're still getting back to me. They're getting back together still. So until that happens. All right. So the first mitzvah in the Torah. What's the first mitzvah? Not counting from the beginning, but count it as the first mitzvah. In other words, there's different ways of counting the mitzvahs. You can count going from Bereshit and going in order, going to the beginning from book of the Torah, and then going in order that way. That's one way of counting the mitzvahs. And then the way of counting the mitzvahs, the way it's counted in the Sefer HaMitzvahs, in the book of mitzvahs, the way the Rambam puts it together, also in the Sefer, and all the other books of counting the mitzvahs, it's counted in the way of the order of mitzvahs, what comes first. And so the first mitzvah is actually counted from the first of the 10 Commandments. What's the first of the 10 Commandments? Anochi Hashem Elokecha. And so the mitzvah is,
When you were in Gimel Tammuz,
oh yeah,
Avi started. What? You started the first mitzvah behind this fire.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was up to say.
okay, so how far did you go?
You know, I was paying attention.
Okay, so the first mitzvah is actually to know that there is a Hashem. The pasuk, it says in the pasuk, "Anochi Hashem Elokecha, Asher Tzaddicha Mitzrayim, I Hashem your God, who took you out of Mitzrayim." The mitzvah is Leda, to know that Hashem is there. To know Hashem. The second mitzvah, so mitzvah number 2 is a negative mitzvah, right? There's 248 positive mitzvahs, 365 negative mitzvahs. So the first positive mitzvah is to know that there's Hashem. The second mitzvah, which is negative mitzvah number 1, that is that we shouldn't, what? Exactly. There shouldn't be any thought of any other God. Like it says in the pasuk, there shouldn't be any other gods. Now, talking about counting the Torah from the beginning, so it says when Hashem, what letter does the Torah start with? Bet, base, right? Bet, Bereshit. Hashem created, Hashem started the world, created the world. Hashem started with Bereshit. Because the Aleph complained to Hashem, I thought I was first. They put the bet first. Hashem told the Aleph, don't worry about it. I got you covered. I'm going to put you in the first of the 10 Commandments, Anochi. Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I'm Hashem your God, took you out of Egypt. Anochi starts with an Aleph. And so, that's how Hashem appeased the Aleph. Hashem's going to put it first. But the first letter is a bet. Huh? Yeah, so that's the first. Those are the first 2 mitzvahs. Now, there's a third mitzvah that comes together with these 2 mitzvahs, and that is knowing the oneness of Hashem. Not just to know that Hashem created the world, but to know that everything in the world is part of Hashem. To know that every single piece of plastic, yes, plastic, has a spark of Hashem in it. Not just that we have a soul that make us live, but every single living being, not just every single living being, but every single creature and every single even inanimate object, like a piece of plastic, like a piece of paper, like a shoelace, has a spark of Hashem in it to make it exist. And if it was missing that spark of Hashem, it would cease to exist. It wouldn't be destroyed. There wouldn't be any explosions. It just nada. Would nothing happen? It would disappear because that spark of Hashem, which is making it exist, disappears from existence. Stop.
If say in this form, one of Hashem were to not recreate, or Hashem were to not make one of the tiles, would there just be an empty space, or like, think Hashem?
Depends what Hashem didn't stop. What Hashem? If Hashem just stopped making a tile, there would be an empty space. But if Hashem stopped making a tile and everything underneath it, maybe it'll be still hold straight down. Maybe we'll see China.
That's a thought. Are they called?
Okay.
You like the girl?
No, I didn't. I think you sent to me.
They're too scary.
I want to let them know. Yeah. Now, the third mitzvah, that's already a deeper meaning of the third mitzvah, is to know that everything is part of Hashem. But the simple meaning of this mitzvah is to know that there's nothing else but Hashem. Hashem is everything and nothing else. No other, literally there's no other deities. There's no other gods with the lower G, with a not capital G. But it means everything. There's nothing else. Like my father always says, Ain oil milvado. There's nothing else but Hashem. Hashem is everything is Hashem. Hashem is part of everything. It's where the buck stops there. Huh? This is also the really all believe every single mitzvah that we have comes down, boils down to this mitzvah of believing in Hashem. Avremel?
Wait, is it to believe or to know?
To know, sorry. You're right. I take it back. To know that there's Hashem. But this believe to know that there's Hashem, whatever. There is a difference. There is a difference.
No.
You're right. The mitzvah is, Herschel pointed out a good point. The mitzvah is not to believe in God. I remember I was invited to speak at this, I don't know how I got there, but Christians for Israel have a big thing, a big event for all the politicians. And it was Hanukkah, and they invited me to share a few words. And I opened up, I said, Jews don't believe in miracles. And everyone was like, what? So we rely on them. We rely on them. And I said, Jews don't believe in God. We know it. It's not just a belief, it's something we know. And that's the mitzvah. Leida. Yosha pointed it out. The mitzvah, the word is Leida, Sheyesh, Shem Shamaleka. To know. Leidas, to know, to have a knowledge. And how do we have knowledge of something? By studying something. By learning about it. Of course, our neshama. Of course, our neshama sees godliness, and that's why he knows about godliness. But it's not just the neshama that knows it. We have to have the language of the neshama, but we have to actively do something to know Hashem. We have to do something about it, and that is to learn about godliness, and that's what we know. Now, these mitzvahs are different than most other mitzvahs. Most other mitzvahs are physical mitzvah. We put on tefillin, say Shema. We put up a mezuzah, kiss the mezuzah maybe, whatever. That's not part of the mitzvah. But however we do the mitzvah, right? We eat the matzah on Pesach. That's how we do the mitzvah. It's a physical thing we're doing. This mitzvah, men in the house. This mitzvah is a mitzvah which is in thought. Most of the mitzvahs are not thought mitzvahs, they're action mitzvahs. This mitzvah is a thought mitzvah. And it's a mitzvah which is constant. So unlike, let's say, tefillin, we put on the tefillin. Of course, it takes thought. We're supposed to have thought as well. But it's action. We're doing action. We put on there's an action involved. Over here, it's a thought mitzvah. There's no action. To know that there's Hashem, it's a thought mitzvah. And unlike tefillin, we put on tefillin and then we're done. We did the mitzvah. The mitzvah to know that there's a God is a constant, it's an ongoing mitzvah. It's called mitzvah t'midiyos. It's called a mitzvah shemachshava, a mitzvah which is a thought, and a mitzvah t'midiyos, a constant mitzvah. So these three mitzvahs, all three of them, to know that there's Hashem, to not believe in anything, to know that there's nothing but Hashem, and to know that Hashem is everything and there's nothing other than Hashem, and Hashem is. To know the deities in the world and Hashem is everything. It's a mitzvah of Shemachshava. They're all three mitzvahs in thought, and mitzvahs are constant. So we constantly have to do the mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah which we could stop for 1 second. Now, this is also in the 13 principles of faith that Ram brings. These are also it's the basis of our emunah, Sani Mamin. It's faith over there, and belief. So it's a knowledge and a belief. It's both. We can have both.
Yeah, and the whole thing was I was reading something from like Rav Salvation.
Yeah.
The on he has a whole parish on like sacred mantra, but on the difference
between believing and knowing. See?
Yeah.
What's the difference?
The whole thing, but he connects it to tshuva, how you have to. How you have to, there has to be, I don't know, it's complicated. You have to, but it's the whole thing about how tshuva is like fully effective, and you can even connect it to. One means it has to be belief. Belief means that you have to like acknowledge it as truth, and you can't think anything else. Knowing means that it has to constantly be on your mind. So in every action you do, it has to be
Constantly. Okay, so talking about mitzvahs that are constant, that actually, we mentioned these 3 mitzvahs, actually another 3 mitzvahs also. If you look, the Rambam says, the Emunas Hashem, believing in Hashem, that's one. Not to have any other gods is also constant. Achdus Hashem, which is knowing Hashem is the only one. Ahavas Hashem, loving Hashem, is also constant. Yiras Hashem, to realize how awesome Hashem is, fearing Hashem, that's also. And like Sasuru, not to follow anything that will bring you further away from Hashem, that is 6. So all 6 mitzvahs are constant mitzvahs. Can you tomorrow night?
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said once you take off the tefillin, the mitzvah is done.
Yeah.
So can you stay long with it, or?
Could you stay longer with it? Yeah, you have many people that daven for many hours, and there are people that break tefillin all day.
Can you sleep?
No, you can't sleep in tefillin, you can't go to the bathroom tefillin. So there are people that would daven and learn all day in their tefillin.
So the longer you put it,
But not at night. At night you can't.
when the sun goes down.
When the sun goes down, you can't learn. So you have people that are at that level. Also, you can't take your mind off for 1 second. So you can't think about stocks or the war in Afghanistan. I mean, Ukraine, whatever, wherever we are now. Whatever the war is now.
So the longer you put it, the more.
Yeah, so you have to control your thoughts. To constantly be thinking of only. Page 118, who wants to down Maariv?
Here's the definition of security.
Tell us the definition, Jerry. Page 118, what's the definition? Who wants to down Maariv? I think Moshe Stein wants down Maariv. The little bird told me. Okay, there you go. You want to do Maariv? Wow. Page 118, let's do it.
אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו גם קראנו, אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו גם קראנו, אדוני הושיע המלך יעננו גם קראנו, סקדל והתקדה שמי רבה, עלמא דברה חירותי ואמליך מחלותי ועצמך פוקנה ויקרא משיחי, וחי זכרון ונכון ובחי את כל בית ישראל בעגה לה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהיה שמי רב המבורך לעלם וענמל מריה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומה ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלל שמי דקודשה בריחו לאלה כל ברכתה ושירתה ותלכתה מלחמתה תעמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך בעולם בארץ, ברוך אתה. אדוני צבאות שמו, ברוך אתה אדוני המעריב הרבים, אהבת עולם, אורך ימינו בהם נהגי יומם בלילה, ואהבתך לא תסור ממנו לאלוהים, ברוך אתה אדוני. שמע ישראל אדוני אלוהינו אדוני אחד. וקשבתם להודעה על ידיך ועל בדניך והובטחתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך וים שמוע. וסבת שמלאכם פנים בשר ודעבות תגולים שחידים להם לך הקודם לכם עצר את השמיים ולא ימזר ואתם לא בגלל מטוסים הם אבל הולכים אחרים וכתבתם על מזבתי רבשם למען ירבו ימיכם ובניכם על האדמה אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיכם לתת להם כימי השמיים על הארץ ויאמר דבר עם נזר במנדל למזולי ציצית ציצית למען תזכור וזיתים כל נדותי אבותיכם היא אדוני אלוהים אשר הוצאתם אדוני אלוהיכם מלכנו וגאולנו לכל העוסק גדולות על חגל חגל מספר שם נפשנו גם אין על זה לנו לקלמה ויוצא את עמו ישראל ישראל ולומר בבנה בן גזעון ההוא בנה גבורתו שבו מלכותו ורצון קיבלו על ביים משה בן ישראל לכנו שירה על שמחה רבה ואמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בגדולות מלכותך ההוא בנה זה לי אנו ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד ונאמר כי תדע אדוני את יעקב חזק ממנו ברוך אתה אדוני ועל ישראל השכיבנו אבינו לשלום כי את שומרנו מצילנו אתה ברוך אתה אדוני שומר את עמו ישראל לעד תדע ותקדש שמי רבה עלמא דיבר כרותב וימליך מכותב ויצמח וקנה ויקרא משיחי דרך היכון ובמכון ובחי תכל בית ישראל בעגלה וצמחרי ואימו אמן יהיה שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמא על מאיה יתברך משתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשה בריחו נעלה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה וברכתה ולחמתה דעמירן בעלמא ואימו אמן זכתה והתקתה שמי רבה, עלמא דברה, חירותי והמליך מלכותי, ואסמך פוקנה ויקרא משיחי. ואיך יפרונו ומכרונו וחי לכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. איש שמי רבה ומבורך לעלה ולעזור על מאיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא. ויתהדר ויתהלל ויתעלה על שמי דקודשה בריחו. נעלה מכל ברכתה ושירתה ותשבחתה ונחמתה דמרן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. תתקבל שלותהון וברכתון לכל בית ישראל קדם אבון די ושמיה ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עלינו לשבח.
לא יעשה לגיגוי כל עצוי, ישראל סמן.
על כן.
זירה יסמי דוד, זירה יסוזח, מה אחוז שעת? יקרא בכל מדם הזה מאחוזך,
נאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. גדל והתקדש שמי רבה. ועלמא דברה חירותי והמליך מלכותי ואסמך פוקנה ויקרא משיחי. לך ילכונו ומכרונו וחי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה על שמי דקודשה בריחו. אלא מכל ברכתה ושירתה ותשבחתה ונחמתה דמרן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. יהי שלמה רבה מן שמיה וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום במרומיו ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עתירה מפרדיתו שווה נרגית בו זקנה
והצבע אני אסבול,
אני עשיתי,
אני אסבול, יבמי,
בול ועמלק,
הצדיקים, יגיד לשמך, יש מי שאני אסבלך, יתבוס מתאפי שגלה שקלתי איתר משמם גם כשנדל כאלה שבידך ויצם אפילו כאן כשיספחו מים ירב את היתר מחת, שנתנו מעצמרה, מלך נמי ומים כיוון שגלת לך נקש אמת, ירצה קדיש ברוך הוא לזעקי סציצה אפילו חיר ולהם תהי מצווה שלם על נבוא זמן צדקוי יגדל תהירה ויעדיר
שקדל וקטה שמי רבה עלמא דברה חירותי והמליך מלכותי ואסמך פוקנה ויקרא משיחי. לך יכולו ומכולו וחי לכל בית ישראל בעגלה בזמן קריב ואמרו אמן.
שמי רבה וברך לעולם ולעולמי ישראל
שמי רבה וברך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה, יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה ודלל שמי דקודשה בריחו.
Amen.
ואלה מן כל ברכת ושירת ותברכת ונחמת דמרן בעלמא ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
על ישראל ועל רבנן ועל תלמידינו ועל כל תלמידיון ועל כל מאן דעסקים בירתה. די ואתרת, דין ודי וכל אתר ואתר, יהיה לאום ולכון שלמה רבה, חינה וחסדה ורחמים וכן וכן. זולה רבקה וחתנה נגדה מעמד ישמעיה ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
יהיה שלמה רבה משמעיה וחיים טובים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen.
יהיה שלום לחומה ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן.
Amen. Yashikaya. Tomorrow morning davening is at 8:40. Whoever's able to help the minion, be Yashikaya. Come, let's sit down for bringing. Wednesday, whoever can help out also for a minion. Wednesday, 7:30 before Mincha. We got a minion with a bris. 7:30 right here with a bris.